A shadow moves through the mangrove swamps. Something massive. Something that makes the water tremble with each footfall. You see the sail first, cutting through the mist like a ship's mast. Spinosaurus, the giant of North Africa. The fish-eating monster that everyone knows. But here's what they don't tell you. Spinosaurus wasn't alone, and it wasn't the apex predator. 95 million years ago, in what is now the Sahara Desert, there was a wetland paradise. Rivers carved through lush forests. Massive fish prowled murky waters, and two titans shared the same hunting grounds. One of them has become a celebrity, plastered across documentaries and movie screens. The other has been almost completely forgotten. And that's a crime, because the true king of Cretaceous North Africa wasn't the fish-eating sailback everyone obsesses over. It was something far more terrifying. Its name is Carcharodontosaurus, the shark-toothed lizard, and it was built to kill anything that moved. Let's set the scene. 95 million years ago, late Cretaceous period. North Africa is unrecognizable. Where you see the Sahara Desert today, imagine a vast network of rivers, deltas, and floodplains. Mangrove forests choke the waterways. The air is thick, humid, suffocating. Crocodiles the size of school buses lurk in murky water. Massive fish longer than pickup trucks patrol the rivers. And stalking through this primordial wetland are two titans, two apex predators, two monsters that should never have shared the same territory. One is the Spinosaurus. You know it, the sail-backed, crocodile-jawed beast that's become a poster child for prehistoric weirdness. But the other has been almost forgotten by popular culture, overshadowed by its flashier cousin. Yet fossil evidence tells a different story. A story of a predator so deadly, so perfectly engineered for killing, that it may have been the true apex predator of Cretaceous North Africa. This is Carcharodontosaurus, the shark-toothed lizard, and it was an absolute monster. 95 million years ago, the world is alien. North Africa isn't the Sahara Desert we know today. It's a sprawling wetland system, a maze of rivers, deltas, and mangrove forests stretching for thousands of kilometers. The air is thick, humid, suffocating. The water is murky, teeming with fish the size of cars and crocodilians that make modern crocs look like house pets. And stalking through this primordial swamp are two titans. Spinosaurus, with its bizarre sail and crocodilian jaws, is the poster child of this ecosystem. But there's another, something even more terrifying. Something built not for fishing or scavenging, but for pure, unadulterated predation. Carcharodontosaurus, the shark-toothed lizard, a name that tells you everything you need to know about what it did best. This animal was a nightmare-made flesh, 13 meters long, 6 tons of muscle, bone, and rage. Its skull alone was over 1.6 meters, longer than most humans are tall. And inside that skull sat jaws lined with teeth like serrated kitchen knives, each one the length of your hand. This wasn't just a predator. This was an apex killing machine that turned the Cretaceous wetlands into its personal hunting ground. But here's what nobody talks about. The Spinosaurus, the supposed king of this ecosystem, wasn't the undisputed ruler. It had competition, deadly competition. And that competitor was Carcharodontosaurus, a monster so fearsome that even Spinosaurus had to respect its territory. This is the story of the forgotten king, the true apex predator of Cretaceous North Africa. And it's time we set the record straight. Rewind the clock. 95 million years ago. The Sahara Desert doesn't exist yet. Instead, North Africa is a network of rivers, swamps, and floodplains. A lush, humid ecosystem teeming with life. This is the Kem Beds, a formation in what is now Morocco and Algeria. The landscape is a patchwork of waterways cutting through dense forests and open plains. The air is thick, humid, oppressive. And stalking through this ancient wetland is a monster that makes a modern lion look like a house cat. Carcharodontosaurus saharicus. The name means shark-toothed lizard. And it's not poetic exaggeration. This predator's teeth are serrated like steak knives, designed not just to puncture, but to saw through flesh and bone. Each tooth is the length of a human hand, and there are dozens of them, lining jaws powerful enough to crush a car. This animal stretches 13 meters from nose to tail. That's longer than a city bus. It weighs somewhere between 6 and 15 tons, the mass of multiple elephants compressed into a single, hyper-carnivorous package. Its skull alone is nearly 2 meters long, studded with teeth the size of railroad spikes. This is Carcharodontosaurus saharicus, the shark-toothed lizard. And in the swamps and river systems of late Cretaceous North Africa, it was the apex predator. But here's the mystery that's haunted paleontologists for decades. How did this monster coexist with Spinosaurus, another massive predator in the same ecosystem? Two giants, same time, same place. Logic suggests one should have wiped out the other. Yet the fossils tell us they lived side by side for millions of years. So, what was really happening in those ancient wetlands? The answer rewrites everything we thought we knew about prehistoric food chains. Let's go back. 95 million years ago. Late Cretaceous period. What is now the Sahara Desert was a lush, swampy hellscape teeming with life. Rivers carved through dense forests. Massive deltas stretched for hundreds of kilometers. And lurking in those waters and wetlands were some of the largest predators to ever walk the earth. This is North Africa, the Kem beds of modern-day Morocco and Egypt. But picture it transformed. Imagine a landscape more like the Florida Everglades mixed with the Amazon, but supersized and lethal. Massive rivers cut through dense vegetation. Swamps stretched for hundreds of kilometers. And in those swamps, monsters competed for supremacy. Spinosaurus gets all the attention. That bizarre sail-backed giant that may have spent much of its time in the water, hunting fish with crocodile-like jaws. But while Spinosaurus was busy being a specialized fish catcher, something else ruled the land. Something more terrifying. Something built purely for killing other dinosaurs. Carcharodontosaurus. The name means shark-toothed lizard. And when you see its teeth, you'll understand why. This was no scavenger, no fish-eater dabbling in the shallows. This was a hyper-carnivore, a land-based killer that stood eye to eye with Tyrannosaurus rex in terms of sheer lethality. And in the swamps and river systems of Cretaceous North Africa, it was the Spinosaurus that had to watch its back. Let's go back. 95 million years ago, late Cretaceous period. What is now the Sahara Desert was a network of rivers, mangrove swamps, and tidal flats. The air is thick with humidity. Giant conifers and ferns blanket the landscape. And stalking through this primordial wetland is a predator so massive, so perfectly engineered for slaughter, that it makes a modern great white shark look cautious. Carcharodontosaurus. The name means shark-toothed lizard. And that name is no accident. This animal was a titan. From snout to tail, it stretched 13 to 14 meters long. That's longer than a city bus. It stood nearly 4 meters tall at the hip, towering over most prey. And it weighed somewhere between 6 and 15 metric tons. That's the mass of roughly 88 adult humans compressed into a single, bone-crushing predator. But size alone doesn't make a monster. It's what you do with that size that counts. Carcharodontosaurus lived roughly 100 million years ago, during the middle of the Cretaceous period. North Africa at this time wasn't the desert we know today. It was a vast river system, a network of wetlands, deltas, and floodplains stretching across what is now Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, and Libya. The climate was hot and humid. Forests of conifers and ferns lined the riverbanks. And prowling through this prehistoric Eden were some of the largest animals ever to walk the earth. There were long-necked sauropods like Paralititan, weighing as much as 70 tons, moving in herds through the shallows. There were armored dinosaurs, early relatives of ankylosaurs, grazing on low vegetation. And flying overhead were pterosaurs with wingspans exceeding 9 meters, soaring on thermals like biological gliders. But the real king of this ecosystem wasn't on land, it was in the water, Spinosaurus, the fish-eating giant with a sail on its back and crocodile-like jaws. Recent discoveries have revealed that Spinosaurus spent much of its time in the rivers, using its paddle-like tail to swim after prey. It could reach lengths of 15 meters or more, making it one of the longest predatory dinosaurs ever discovered. For decades, Spinosaurus has dominated popular imagination. It's the star of documentaries, the villain in movies. But here's what most people don't realize. Spinosaurus wasn't the apex predator of North Africa. It was a specialist, adapted for fishing. And on land, where it was clumsy and vulnerable, there was something far more dangerous. Carcharodontosaurus. The name means shark-toothed lizard, and it's fitting. The teeth of Carcharodontosaurus were blade-like, serrated on both edges like a steak knife. They weren't designed for crushing bone like Tyrannosaurus rex. They were designed for slicing through flesh. Each tooth could reach lengths of 20 centimeters, and the jaws held over 60 of them, arranged in rows like a biological arsenal. When Carcharodontosaurus bit down, it didn't just crush, it sawed. The serrations on the teeth would grip the flesh, and as the jaw closed, the teeth would slide through muscle and sinew like scissors through fabric. Blood loss would be catastrophic. Shock would set in within minutes. But here's the truly terrifying part. Carcharodontosaurus had one of the largest skulls of any terrestrial predator, measuring over 1.6 meters long. That's longer than a grown man is tall, and mounted on a neck thick with muscle, capable of violent lateral movements, that skull became a wrecking ball of teeth. Let's put this in perspective. Imagine standing in a clearing in the Cretaceous wetlands. The air is thick with humidity. You hear the calls of distant pterosaurs, the rumble of sauropods moving through the trees. Then you hear something else. A deep, resonant breathing. A sound that vibrates through your chest. You turn, and there, emerging from the shadows, is Carcharodontosaurus. Its head is the size of a small car. Its eyes, set forward in the skull, lock onto you with binocular vision. It can judge distance, it can track movement, and it's moving toward you with a stride that covers 3 meters per step. You run, but it's pointless. Carcharodontosaurus can sprint at speeds estimated around 30 kilometers per hour in short bursts. Not as fast as a modern cheetah, but you're not a cheetah. And even if you were, there's nowhere to hide. This animal weighs between 6 and 15 tons, depending on the individual. When it moves, the ground shakes. But Carcharodontosaurus didn't hunt alone. Fossil evidence suggests these animals may have been social, possibly hunting in pairs or small groups. Trackways found in North Africa show multiple large theropods moving together, coordinating their movements. If this is true, it changes everything. A single Carcharodontosaurus is dangerous. A group of them is apocalyptic. Imagine 2 or 3 of these giants coordinating an attack on a sauropod. One distracts from the front, while another lunges for the flanks, those blade-like teeth finding purchase in thick hide. The sauropod tries to defend itself, swinging its massive tail like a battering ram. But the predators are patient. They've done this before. They wait for the animal to tire, to slow from blood loss, and then they move in for the kill. This wasn't brute force hunting. This was a strategy, intelligence, and it made Carcharodontosaurus the most dangerous land predator of its time. So why don't we talk about it more? Why has Spinosaurus stolen the spotlight? The answer's complicated. Spinosaurus is exotic, it's bizarre. A dinosaur that swam? That's headline material. But Carcharodontosaurus, despite being larger on land and far more deadly, is less visually distinctive. It looks like a generic large theropod to untrained eyes. No sail, no crocodile snout, just teeth and muscle and relentless efficiency. But the fossil record tells a different story. Carcharodontosaurus bones have been found alongside those of Spinosaurus, suggesting they coexisted, but their ecological niches barely overlapped. Spinosaurus hunted fish in the rivers. Carcharodontosaurus hunted everything else on land. There may have been confrontations. A Spinosaurus on land, caught away from water, would have been vulnerable. And a hungry Carcharodontosaurus wouldn't hesitate. The result would have been swift and brutal. But here's the catch: both of these giants disappeared. Around 94 million years ago, sea levels began to rise. The North African river systems flooded and changed, climate shifted, and the massive sauropods that Carcharodontosaurus depended on began to decline. Without prey, even the greatest predator starves. Carcharodontosaurus populations dwindled, fossils become scarce, and by the end of the Cretaceous they were gone entirely, replaced by other predators and other ecosystems. Spinosaurus may have lasted slightly longer, but it too vanished, unable to adapt to a changing world. The rivers dried, the prey migrated or died out, and the age of the African giants came to an end. This leads us to a sobering realization. Being the apex predator isn't a guarantee of survival. Carcharodontosaurus was perfectly adapted to its environment, a precision instrument of death. But when that environment changed, all that adaptation became meaningless. Evolution doesn't reward perfection, it rewards flexibility. Today, we're only beginning to understand Carcharodontosaurus. Most of what we know comes from fragmentary remains. The original fossil, discovered in Egypt in the 1920s, was destroyed during World War II in a bombing raid on Munich. What we have now are scattered bones from Morocco and Niger, enough to reconstruct the basic anatomy but not enough to answer deeper questions. Did they care for their young? How long did they live? What sounds did they make? These mysteries remain locked in the rocks, waiting for future discoveries. But one thing is certain. For millions of years, Carcharodontosaurus ruled the wetlands of North Africa with absolute authority. It was the true apex predator, the nightmare that made even Spinosaurus cautious on land. And in the fossil record, in the teeth marks on ancient bones and the trackways preserved in stone, we can still see echoes of its reign. The next time someone mentions Spinosaurus, remember Carcharodontosaurus. Remember the shark-toothed giant that stalked the shadows, the forgotten king of the Cretaceous. Because the most dangerous predators aren't always the most famous. Sometimes they're the ones history forgot.